Do you know the price that you pay for being intelligent, emotionally intelligent, introspective, and socially aware, and the price you pay for being sane at a time such as this, where we're living in a world that is still, despite the positive improvements and the positive trends that I have talked about, that is still largely insane, that is still largely ignorant, that is still largely naive, that is still largely selfish. The price that you pay is high, it's very high. It's to be all of those things is more of a curse than a blessing and a gift, I sometimes think, at times such as these. Which is why it is all the more important that we recognise, those of us who are, you'll know watching this video if you're one of these people, which is why it is so important that we do recognise the role that we're playing. Now, I use the word to describe myself then. I use the words intelligent, emotionally intelligent, and introspective and socially aware, and you know, that might come across as arrogant and big-headed, and that's not my intention, because what I'm going to do in this video is to try to explain, well, you know, why I'm not feeling great at the moment, and the things that I can do better, and some questions that I've been asking myself, which is part of being introspective and is driven by, I would suggest, an emotional intelligence and an intelligence, and is, you know, is guided by an ongoing, you know, kind of like acknowledgement and realization that I have a place within this society. So I thought that these questions that I've been asking myself and these reflections that I'm currently undergoing, that maybe they may reflect where you are as well. So this video may be of some help. And it is, first of all, so important when we're not feeling good, and I know that everybody is going through these mood cycles. So they're not even mood cycles, they're energy cycles, and where our perceptions do dictate to a large degree our mood, and sometimes our perceptions, well, for me anyway, sometimes my perception is so strong that we are definitely going to win this war, and other times I get quite despondent. So it's important to try and objectively take a step back and at a time, and just try to not get locked in to either of those two perceptions. To try to, as difficult as it is, to quite almost without emotion review the situation and what it's doing to us, how we're helping, and you know, and what effect it's having on us, and to not become too enslaved to our moods and to our, what we think are our insights on any given day. Because I think one of the, there's a dog here, I'll just say hello to this dog. Hello dog. Are you okay? He's a golden retriever, I think, there. So, what was I saying? I've lost my train of thought. Okay, well, let's start with that. So, one of the questions I've been asking myself, one of the things I've realised recently is that my thinking is very impaired. I'm forgetting so many things. My brain, I keep using the phrase, my brain feels mashed. It really does. It feels that I can't think very coherently. I'm struggling with my thought patterns, and that's a sign, actually. I would probably suggest that's a sign that well, I am too in my head, and I'm not enough in my heart, because that's what happens when you begin to have these battles, these internal battles, over analysing, and then thinking about why you're perceiving a situation. You're no longer perceiving it, you're thinking about the perception, and then you're making judgments on that. Well, that is being too mind orientated. So my first question would be, well, does anyone relate to that? Is that anybody else at the moment? And just remember, you know, I'm doing this video for me as well as you guys here. We're hoping to help you all. Just remember, What do we need to do? Well, we need to do things like this. Come out into nature. I mean, look at that. Like, this is the best way. This is the best way of getting out of our heads, connecting to something bigger, finding stillness and tranquility. You maybe go for a run or go to the gym. So we need to remember that always. We are always only a small part of this universe. And when we're too wrapped up in our thinking, we forget that. So that's number one. Now, something else that I've been feeling a little bit guilty that if certain things happen and I can't go, or you know, certain events, well, yeah, I can't go, or whether I decide to prioritize something else, and I'm going to come on to why I'm prioritizing in a minute. Now, if you are feeling guilty about you could be doing more, you could be attending more events, well, you need to just reflect sometimes and think, and just remind yourself of what you've already done. Are you being non-compliant with rules that you don't like? Have you made connections with people? Are you preempting discussions and meetups and things like that? Do you go to most of them? Well, in that case, it's okay if you don't go to all. Or do you feel like you're doing more than most? And if you do, that's enough. Because the way this ends, as I keep saying, is if everyone just did a little bit. But not everybody is. But if you are, but you're feeling guilty, you could be doing more, or there's a particular thing going on and you're not able to go, don't be too hard on yourself. I am the worst person for that. Always have been. Judge myself so incredibly harshly. But if I do take a step back, I can honestly say that I have done more than most to help remedy this situation. And I do have frustrations that I don't see others doing as much as me, but I can't change that. All I can do is be comfortable in my own skin and look in the mirror. When this is all said and done, I might be dead, mightn't I? So I won't be looking in the mirror. If we win this, when all is said and done, can I look in the mirror and say, I helped to ensure that transition from tyranny to freedom? Well, absolutely yes, I can. Objectively, I can. And without any embarrassment whatsoever. Yes. If that's you, just remember that. Don't be too hard on yourself. I did say there's been one or two times when you have to prioritise other things. Now, I talk a lot about insanity and an insane society and insane behaviour, but I'll tell you something that is insane, that is lunacy, is not prioritising your own health, is damaging your own health, is living in a way that is not conducive to being healthy, that's putting yourself at risk. You know, I'm 39 now, so I'm not really young, I'm not old. God, I'm a middle age now, maybe not quite. Let's just say I'm 39. I've probably never paid enough attention to my health. Now, at a time of, you know, rising tyranny, where there's a lot of people who are losing trust in a lot of institutions, NHS springs to mind. Well, so important to apply that discipline, isn't it, and to be healthy. So my diet recently has not been good enough. I have not been disciplined in getting up early enough. I have not been doing any exercise. Certain other values that I hold dear to me, I've lived through. I really have, such as truth and freedom. But others relating to discipline and self-care, I haven't. And then there's the next one, balance. Balance is possibly the most important concept of all, because if you don't have equilibrium, if you don't have the dynamic right in your life, you're just constantly on this emotional seesaw. Now, there will always be those fluctuating emotions. Just being human, that's what being human is. And introspection and real emotional intelligence is being able to just observe those emotions so that they don't have control over you. But But it's more difficult at a time when you're under psychological attack as well. So which is why it's more and more important to really apply that discipline with regard to having a little bit of everything when you can, and trying to achieve some balance. And that means not getting too wrapped up in this resistance movement, because you can be just end up thinking about it, and you can end up talking about it but not actually doing anything about it. That time will be better spent on yourself, on your own health, for example. And again, let me stress, I'm talking to myself here, but I hope that what I'm saying rings some bells for you, that you can relate to it. Something else, information overload. I've talked a lot about this recently. In what ways? Information overload plus being enslaved by the system, despite claiming that we're awake. I think most of us are still totally, not totally, but too much enslaved by this system. What is this system? Information, AI, social media, even media for some people. And there's been this, again, I've created a lot of content around this. It seems that the majority are being conditioned to, whether they claim that they're awake or not, being conditioned to do most of the communicating and interacting from behind the screen, typing on a keyboard, typing on the phone, and that's good enough. Well, it's not really good enough if you want a healthy society. So we need to, as part of, I guess, the self-care elements of things, as well as contributing to the creation of a better society. Well, what do we criticize? What do we not like? Yet we still endorse it by purchasing the product or using the product, whatever it may be. So, smartphones, in what way are we completely enslaved by our smartphones? How many things do we do on our smartphones that we don't need to? I deleted finally my Facebook account, deactivated and permanently deleted it this morning. I've not been on there for ages. I just realised that Facebook is no use whatsoever to me, and I feel that what it brings, the disadvantages it brings to the world, far away its advantages. So in what other ways are multi-billion-pound corporations with their immoral and largely immoral and largely unhealthy practices, in what way are we beholden to them? In what way are we further emboldening them and enriching them? So the Amazons, the McDonald's, the Facebooks, except the Google, etc., keep going. Which brings me to YouTube, and I'm going to do a separate video about this, because here I am using a social media network. I mean, I don't think YouTube is so much as social media, it's more like a content creator platform. But it's still an organisation, obviously owned by Google, that I find repugnant, yet here I am endorsing it by using it. I find it repugnant because of its levels of censorship, and that it doesn't tolerate free speech and opinion. However, sometimes you have to make a decision. It's impossible to live your life without being, to an extent, some kind of a hypocrite to some extent, or to live in contradictory to some extent. And the reason why I'm staying on YouTube and doing this is because I think that even though I'm using a product that I think is immoral, I feel that I am bringing a lot of value to people who need it, and that outweighs for me. So that positive outweighs the negative. So these are all the things that I've been discussing with myself recently, and it is so important, particularly as we go into the autumn and then into the winter. I mean, it's still lovely and warm now, very humid day today, that we focus, we have to, on our health, on our priorities, review what our values are. So for me, I've been living really through truth and freedom. Well, I think it's time now for me to try to apply balance and discipline and self-care, really, and put those above truth and freedom. And I don't mean that would relegate truth and freedom. It just means that I have mastered the art of living in complete alignment with what truth and freedom is, and I will continue to do so. And I find it pretty once you get over the fear of what other people may think, once you get over fears that really, once you scratch beneath the surface, that there's nothing really to be scared of. Was it Roosevelt said the only thing we have to fear is fear itself? It's so true. So once you realise you can be you can dissent when you want to dissent, you can authentically share your opinion, you can verbalise what you're thinking, you can refuse to comply. Once you start doing that, great, it's easy. It's actually really incredibly easy, the most natural thing. So time for me, as I say, to focus on my health, doing more of this, more meditating, more yoga, more exercise, more healthy eating, more cooking, more reading. So what would that be for you? I imagine, I'd be fairly confident that all of you watching this will be able to relate at least partially to what I'm saying. And again, I said at the start about the price you pay for being intelligent and emotionally intelligent, introspective and socially aware is a high one. And it is, because the psychological attack that is being perpetrated at the moment is affecting those people more than people who aren't engaged because they're too scared to go there, or the people who are completely brainwashed. It'd actually be a very easy life, although not an easy life, but it will be easier to be told to be scared of just one thing and then to engineer your whole life around avoiding that one thing. Much easier. You can absolve yourself of responsibility. You're not in control, you're being told what to do all the time, just stay safe. That's it. Well, for us it's not like that, is it? Because we're aware of the complexity of the problems, and we're also aware of the huge responsibility that falls within our shoulders, and we're also, I hope we are anyway, all aware that it's up to us as individuals, as I keep saying, to do what we can. If we end up doing it in vain, we've still done the right thing. But the key thing to remember is that if enough of us do the right thing, then this does end. But in doing the right thing, we've got to look after ourselves. It's a cliche, self-care, it's such a cliche, but it's so important. So I already feel better now. I mean, I would recommend to anybody. I know there's one or two of my subscribers have said actually they've thought about putting their thoughts on their own YouTube channel. It does help. This has helped me immensely. And I said at the start about my thinking's not being clear. I've not done a video for a couple of days. Well, I can feel a bit of clarity returning simply from doing this, crystallising my thoughts and have that feeling that I'm helping others, and that's ultimately what really matters. So if we want a better society, a more healthy society, a more sane society, a more altruistic society, a more caring society, well, let's not engage in insane behaviour ourselves. So for example, me completely neglecting my health. Let's be healthy. You know, if we want that to be healthy in mind, body and spirit, let's make sure that we've got our values orientated properly, and let's make sure that we limit how hypocritical we are when criticising products and services that we don't like, and that we're participating in the endorsement of them. So that's my video for today. Please let me know which aspects of this video you do relate to. I'd love to hear your views on that, so just put it in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video with anybody you think may benefit from it. All right then, I'll speak to you all soon. Bye bye.